Babják Bence a sportától, mindkét játékoshoz lenne egy kérdésem.
To both players, I have a question.
Magyar válogatott 14 meccsig veretlen
Attila,
volt, most 5 nap
Hungary
alatt
was
két vereség
unbeaten
is.
for 14 games, now 2 losses in a few days. How does this affect self-confidence, and how can we regain this confidence tomorrow? And Endre, from you, I would like to ask, Szalai said yesterday that the defense can be the key. Based on that, what kind of football can we expect from Hungary, and when can we reach the point when we have to risk, because we have the obligation to win?
Akkor kezdem én.
I will start then. I also welcome everybody. Of course, nobody wants to lose, nobody likes to lose. Those 14 games, that streak was a huge success, gave us great confidence. The team entered the pitch always self-confident. This is now reduced a tiny bit, but we are professional players. We have to manage to deal with this. We discussed things between us. We discussed what makes us strong, and we went back to those key elements that gave us confidence in the past. And we hope to achieve all that tomorrow on the pitch. How should I say? Szalai is right. Defense is something we have to pay attention to. In the last 3-4 games, we conceded plenty of goals, which was not characteristic of the team. And when is the point of taking risks starts? Of course, it's difficult to say. We'll see in the midst of the game how the game unfolds, and we will react accordingly. Attila, I would like to ask you, how much did it affect you that in the last year, all that you have constructed, you fell out of the starting squad in the national team? How much of a burden is that on your shoulder? How does this affect your self-confidence? What is your take on that? And Endre, what do you expect? Can you make it to the starting lineup? How do you prepare? Are you going to be starting tomorrow? Obviously, I feel that this year has been more difficult in my career. It's a tough phase in my club as well, but I am very proud of being here with the national team, and I can contribute from game to game and from training to training. So I'm working on this day by day, and I'm trying to pay back the trust invested on me. I don't think my confidence, it changed anything in terms of my confidence.
Next question, please.
And me personally, I prepare for every game, every single game, with that in mind that I'm going to be starting. And whether this is going to be the case tomorrow, the head coach is going to decide about that.
Hello. Is it possible to answer in English, either one of you?
We would prefer Hungarian, if you don't mind.
Okay. Can I ask you both about Scotland, what you think of their performances so far in this tournament, and who are the danger men to watch out for?
Akkor magyarul válaszoljak? Igen, természetesen.
Of course, we are aware of the Scottish team's performance and their strength. It's an aggressive team. They work a lot, both with and without the ball. They are a compact team when it comes to defending, and they are strong in counter-attacks from set pieces and from crosses. They have lots of players in top leagues, play on a high level. I don't want to single out any of them, because as a team we are preparing against them, and this togetherness is the thing we want to put in the pitch, something that characterizes them as well, and we want to outdo them in this aspect. I would like to join Attila in his opinion. We don't have to, and it's not possible to single out any players. Those two games, Scotland showed different faces. In the first game, they left more open spaces, they defended deep back in the last third of the field, which didn't end up so well for them. But in the second game, we saw a much more confident and brave Scottish team attacking more ferociously, and I expect the second phase of them in the game against us, and that's the thing we're preparing for tomorrow.
Gergely József, MTI. Az lenne a kérdésem Attilához, hogy
Attila, physically, what state are the team in? Because it's going to be the third game in a row, and probably Scotland are the team that plays most physically. And how difficult it is that you are forced to win, and also the goal difference might make the difference. For example, how do you have to react when once leading 1-0? I think physically we are in a good state. Of course, there's a very serious staff behind us monitoring, analyzing our numbers. That's why one or two players have more recuperation to do, or they have to do other type of exercises in the training camp. They pay a lot of attention to this. And thanks to that, our injured players are returning slowly. So I hope that all of the squad that's healthy can put in a great performance. I think we don't have to think during the game about other results and our result. We have to win the game, and then we will start calculating. Until then, it's needless to put extra pressure on our players. We just have to win, and then we will have time to do maths.
Hello, it is Derek McGregor from the Scottish Sun. Can I ask, because the team has no points, what is the pressure like back home? And if you were to play, how big a game would this be in your careers?
Természetesen nagy a nyomás, talán az elmúlt időszak sikerességének
phase, the success that we have showed, we put the bar high. It is fair to say that. And it's us that have to keep the bar high. We would like to go home with 3 points, and the game with 3 points tomorrow. Then we could say that we've put in a better performance than in the last Euros, because then we exited with only 2 points. As I have answered previously, that's what the footballer's life is. We have to deal with it and deal with this pressure in a healthy way and turn it into some positive motivation, and this extra energy, we have to put it on the pitch. I also think that this 14-game unbeaten streak raised the expectations. And I can say we were no exception. We also started off expecting more points at this stage of the tournament. Now we see that in the last 2 games we didn't do as we expected. And at times like that we have to go back to the roots, and the things that were working in the past, we have to pick them up and continue, and this will give us good results. If we get the 3 points, we will still have our hopes alive.
Good evening, Carrie Brown, beIN Sports. We know that you tested Neuer, Kimmich. It was a very tough encounter. We know the strength of your set pieces, especially Szoboszlai. So does Robertson. How much has Szoboszlai taught you about Robertson, and are you worried that because of Robertson, Scotland will know how to counter Szoboszlai's set pieces?
To be honest, he didn't say anything specific about him yet, but of course our team knows him, everybody knows him. He's a great player for sure, with dangerous set pieces, with great crosses, but like I mentioned before, this is the strength of Scotland, but also of Hungary, and we are looking forward to the game. We will give our best to defend, especially these set pieces too.
Hát szerintem egyáltalán nem kell félni attól, hogy most a Dominiknak
We do
kiismerik
not have to be worried that they can predict Dominic's set pieces or free kicks, because there's no tendency on how he scores these set pieces or how he prepares for them. Each cross of his is a surprise, and the variations is not up to him to decide, but to the head coach.
Bodnár Zalán, Nemzeti Sporttól. Azt szeretném kérdezni, hogy lapunknak nyilatkozott Réti Béla, aki a német
Réti Béla, commentator in German television with Hungarian descendants, told us that in his opinion the first two games Hungary is very well too much Marco Rossi centered, meaning that what he teaches you turns out to be good, but if there is something unexpected happening on the pitch, you cannot react on your own. Can you agree with that? Of course, each of the players and the teams try to put in the pitch what the head coach is asking from them. This criticism doesn't really hold water, because we had proved in the past, in other games, that if we need to, we can adapt in the middle of the game. The head coach also emphasizes it that he's not always there to help us immediately, because we cannot hear him all the time. There are 50, 60,000 people in the stadium. He cannot always pass on the information to the team that could bring about change immediately. But we have leaders in the team, and we have a strong unity and togetherness in the team. So even though this unity was not so obvious in the last two games in terms of unexpected situations, and our reaction in the past we had proved. I would also refute this criticism and reject it, because Marco Rossi also is not a person who has only one plan. We are prepared for other match plans and other eventual circumstances, and the players can predict these situations, and they can judge on their own how to adapt. This criticism can sound fair, because these last two games were an underperformance compared to the previous 14 games, but I don't think this criticism is fair.
Mr. Rossi will arrive in a few minutes.
Hi, Raman Bardwaj, JSTV. I wonder what sort of approach you're expecting from Scotland tomorrow, given the position of both teams. Do you think it will be more aggressive from Scotland than previous games?
Credo che la Scozia sia sempre aggressiva.
I think Scotland are always aggressive. I think they tried to play aggressively even in their first two matches as well. As to whether they will still be aggressive tomorrow, we'll see that tomorrow night. But I think we're in the same boat as Scotland. It's not that only they need to get 3 points, we want to get 3 points as well. Because obviously, coming away with maximum points might see us through to the knockout stage, and were that not to come to pass, at least we can go away from Euro 2024 having taken home 3 points. So our aim is exactly the same as Scotland's tomorrow.
Hello, Jane Lewis from BBC Scotland. Would you mind answering in English one question at all? Yeah. Can I ask you what you have made of Scotland so far in this tournament, and who are the danger men that you maybe have spoken to your team about?
La prima partita, first match against Germany is difficult to be evaluated, because they were in 10 players against Germany is a nightmare for everybody, and so I think that it's difficult to talk about that match, even if they were brave, even in that match, and we know well their fighting spirit, and in the match against Switzerland, they did well in many aspects. They were also unlucky in a situation in which they took the post, and I think that the Scottish team is dangerous in general because of the attitude, but of course they have also some really qualitative players like, for instance, McGinn, Gilmour, or especially McTominay. So we know them well. I hope that at the same time we could find the right mood to face them in the best of the ways possible.
Next question.
Kis Tamás MT, kapitány úr, a többi csoport eredményei alakulnak, ahogy alakulnak, és mindenképpen nyerni kell.
Results are coming in. We have to win against Scotland.
Nagyobb nyomás nehezedik, vagy inkább lehetőség?
Is there an extra pressure on the team, or they see this game as an opportunity, taking into account the results in the other groups?
I think given the results we've got thus far, 0 points from 2 matches, there's no alternative for us rather than a win if we want to continue our progress. So we know that this is a decisive game both for us and them. And the pressure is equally on for both us and Scotland. I don't think there's any additional pressure on that score.
Gergely, József MT, mennyire tartja szerencsétlennek, hogy pont Skóciával
How unlucky is it that we are facing Scotland in the last match, playing the most physical game? Because we already have exertion, having played 2 games.
It's our 3rd game, but it's also their 3rd game. Scotland are used to playing very high-tempo football, and we need to do likewise in this game. It's not a case of being luckier or more unlucky. I have to be frank, we've not been lucky in the big moments so far. Yes, we didn't play well in the first half against Switzerland, but in the second period I think we played well, and in general terms I think we played well against Germany as well. Unfortunately, all of the big moments went against us, and when I talk about the big moments I'm talking about a number of things. There's no point dwelling on those or listing them now, but as I've always done, and I will continue to do so for the rest of my time on the Hungary bench, I've never looked for excuses, neither for myself nor for the players, and nor do I intend on starting today.
Jó estét kívánok, Kaiser Tamás vagyok a Sportától. Amennyit mi láthattunk ma az edzésből, ugye Szoboszlai...
As we have seen today's training, Szoboszlai was preparing separately. What can we know about his state? Does this have an impact on tomorrow's starting lineup?
No, we will wait until the 11th hour and assess how everyone is. But there's no real concern over Szoboszlai at this stage of the competition. At this stage of the competition and this stage of the season, it was a very long campaign for him in particular. What matters most now is recovery, rest and recovery. I think that was also the aim for our opposition tomorrow. And that's basically what we've worked on over the last 3 days, ever since we finished the game against the Germans.
Hi, Marco. Derek McGregor from the Scottish Sun. You were very unhappy with the referee on Wednesday night. What do you know about the referee tomorrow night, and what are you expecting from him?
I expect what I've always expected from all match officials, that they are consistent from the first minute to the last whistle. Unfortunately, the Dutch referee didn't do that in our game against Germany. That's it. With the statement that I've made and what I've just repeated, I'm not looking for excuses, as I said, for my team. I've simply said that even if they had actually blown for that foul, which I believe was blatant and actually led to Germany's first goal, either way, Germany probably would have won the match because they probably would have scored from another situation. Or maybe they would have won 1-0 because they scored a goal in the second half as they did. So that's not the point here. The point is a team's ability in a tournament like this, specifically when you have VAR, which is supposed to be a tool, it shouldn't count how strong a team is. A team's prestige or tradition shouldn't come into things. Whether it's us or Georgia, we need to be protected in the same way as Germany, France, England, Italy, or so on and so forth are.
Polgár Nemzeti Sport Online. Fejéből összeállta már a kezdőcsapat.
Do you have the starting lineup on your mind? How many changes can we expect? Is there anyone besides Szoboszlai who had to skip the training and recuperate? Can you tell anything about this?
No, non ci sono situazioni particolarmente delicate.
There are not really any worrying situations. We've assessed things obviously from a physical perspective, but also tactically too. There will be a couple of changes, but that doesn't come down to bad performances by any means. It's simply because we think we can have a bit more freshness in the side.
And the last question.
Would you mind answering in English for us? Talking of bringing in new players, we saw how Billy Gilmour refreshed the midfield for Scotland. Is Callum Styles going to be available to start? And could you talk about that luck and how you can use that that moment to motivate your team as they go out for this match?
Yes, Callum is available for selection, finally. He picked up an injury in the friendly against Israel and he didn't train and he wasn't available for selection. Against Switzerland, he wasn't available for selection. Against Germany, I think he trained on the eve of the game. But what I can say today is that Callum Styles will be available for selection for tomorrow's match against Scotland. Of course, we have looked at Gilmour, we're familiar with him, and he was crucial this season for his club side. So we know what a good player he is, and I even referenced him earlier on. I think at this stage of the competition, in a competition such as this, that you don't need to really motivate your players, because if you as a footballer are not able to find that motivation deep within, you need to change job. You're in the wrong job. You need to get out of there.
Press conference of Team Scotland will start at 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Köszönjük szépen.